Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, we're gonna do some applications of finding areas under the curve in economics and business. Okay, so basically we're gonna apply definite integrals, because we know that we can use definite integrals to find areas between curve, areas under the curve. And in this session, what we're going to do is that we're going to see how we can apply this concept in solving some problems in economics and business. Okay, to be more specific, we're going to focus on the finding consumer surplus and producer surplus. Okay, so let me get the slides here. Okay, so consumer surplus. So if let's say we have this price demand function, this is our price and demand function. Okay, this is our price and demand function, and P bar is the market price. Okay, P bar is the market price. Okay, now as you can see here, even though the price is at P bar, now, when price is higher than P bar, we still have some segments in the market, some people, especially those with higher income or those with preference and whatnot, they are willing to pay higher price, even though the quantity will be lower, right? I mean, at P bar, when this is, if this is the equilibrium market price, this will be the equilibrium market quantity, X bar. But as you can see, when P is higher than P bar, there are still some people who are willing to pay. Right, some people who are willing to pay, but then they are only required to pay P bar. Okay, it's like if you, some people, let's say this is an example, mineral water. So the price, the prevailing market price is RM1, but there are some people who are willing to pay RM2. You know, you're willing, your expectation, you're willing to pay for RM2, but then when you go to the shop, I mean, the price is only RM1. I mean, you save RM1, and that kind of represent welfare. Okay, so that's what we term as the consumer surplus. Okay, so let's say if X bar and P bar is a point on this graph of price demand equation, okay, P equals to dx, where X is the quantity, P is the price for a particular product, then the consumer surplus at the price level P bar is represented by this area, the shaded area, this green area, okay, where we are measuring from 0 to X bar, 0 to X bar, the area under this curve, okay, so now we are applying this, the concept of definite integral, and this looks like a triangle, but it's not actually a triangle because this is a curvy, curve. So we simply find this whole area from 0 to X bar, and then we subtract this rectangle from it. So the area between P bar and dx from 0 to X bar, this is consumer surplus. Okay, so it represents total saving to consumers who are willing to pay more than P bar for the product, but are still able to buy the product at P bar. They are willing to pay a higher price, but they only paid, in actual situation, they only paid a lower price. So let's say we want to do, let's do this example together. Find the consumer surplus at the price level of $8 for the price demand equation. Okay, so what we need to do is, first of all, we need to solve for the quantity. So when P equals, when P equals $8, so what is our X? Okay, so this is P bar. So 20 minus 0.05 X bar equals 8. Okay, so 0.05 X bar. Okay, so this one I'm bringing it. Okay, let me just try to do this so that you can see it. See, so I'm gonna basically bring this to the other side and bring 8 to this side. So this becomes 20 minus 8 equals 0.05 X bar, because I want to maintain positive. X bar, I want to make it positive. So this is 12, right? So 12 divided by 0.05 equals X bar, which is 240. Okay, 240. So now we have solved. So our P bar and X bar. Okay. Now, if we were to draw this graph, this is a linear. Okay, so from 0 to 240, this is what we have solved before, and this is 8. So we want to find the area, this CS. Okay, DCS. So I mean, it's good to sketch the graph so that you know which area is the consumer surplus, and then we can simply find the consumer surplus here. So this consumer surplus would be from 0 to 240, which is the upper limit here. And then we have dx, right? Dx, d of x, because this would be the whole area, this whole area, but then we want to subtract it with this rectangle, okay, minus p bar, okay, dx, right? So here we're going to have 0 to 240. So dx is 20. So don't forget this bracket, 20 minus 0 0.05x minus 8 dx. Okay, and then so 20 minus 8 is 12. So now that we are here, we can simply do find the antiderivative, right? This would be 12x minus 0 0.05x squared divided by 2, right? This would be basically 12x minus 0 0.05 x squared divided by 2, right? So we have 240 and 0. Okay, so don't forget so this is how we get the 0 0.025 x squared. So we simply evaluate this, okay, at the upper limit and the lower limit, and we get 1,440. So the total saving to consumers who are willing to pay a higher price for the product, or in other words, the consumer surplus, okay, equals to 1,440. Okay. Now, the other the counterpart from the producer point of view would be the producer surplus. Okay, producer surplus. So if we have a price supply equation, okay, where P bar is the market price, the current price, and X bar is the current supply, if you know, some suppliers are still willing to supply some unit at a lower price than P bar. You know, some people, they are willing to sell the mineral water rather than at one ringgit, they are willing to sell it at 80 cents. But when they sell it in the market, they found that people are buying at 1 ringgit. So they got additional profit. Additional profit. So the additional money that these suppliers gain from the higher price is called the producer surplus, and they can be expressed in terms of definite integral. Okay. So if this is our supply function, this is our supply curve. So as you can see here, even at the price lower than P bar, some producers are willing to sell in the market. Okay, but of course with lower quantity. Um, so producer surplus basically is represented by this area above the supply curve, but under the market price P bar. Okay, they are willing to supply at a lower price, but they got higher money, they got higher price, okay. So it would be from 0 to x bar. The upper limit is x bar, the market quantity, and then we simply take this area of this rectangle, all the area under the P bar, okay, under the P bar, and subtract this area under the supply curve. So that, because this is the area of interest for producer surplus. Okay. So it represents the total gain to producers who are willing to supply units at a lower price than P bar, but are still able to supply units at P bar. Okay, so let's say we have this example. Our supply equation is 2 plus 0 0.0002 x squared, and the current price level is $20. So first step, what we need to do is to find the quantity. So x bar, so P bar equals 20. So we get 2 plus 0 0.0002 x squared equals 20. Okay, so 0 0.0002 x squared equals 18. Okay, equals 18. So x squared would then equals 18 divided by 0 0.0002, okay, and equals to 90,000. Okay, you should be able to get, this is x squared, so find the square root, it would be 300. So that we know, so based on this information, we know the upper limit is 300, from 0 to 300. Okay, and this is our supply equation. Okay, so to find the producer surplus, so what we need to do is that, so it will be from 0 to 300, and we know it will be P bar minus the supply equation. Okay, so this would give us from 0 to 300, our P bar is 20 minus, so be careful, 2 plus 0.0002 x square dx. Be careful because this is a negative sign, okay? So when you do that carefully, so 20 minus 2 would be 18, and this become negative. And as we find the antiderivative, okay, so this become 18x minus 0.0002 x to the power of 3 divided by 3. All these will be then evaluated, okay, from 0 to 300. Okay, that's how we get x cubed divided by 3. So evaluate at the upper limit and the lower limit, we get 3,600. So 3,600 would be the producer surplus. Okay. So in the next part would be the when we want to find both the producer surplus and the consumer surplus together when we need to find the equilibrium price. Okay, the equilibrium price. I'm going to leave this example to you, but make sure you know how to do this. Okay, because it's simply a combination of the two examples that we have discussed before. Okay, it's just that sometimes you need to do some additional steps, such as to find the equilibrium price. You are given the demand equation and the supply equation. Okay, so then you need to find the equilibrium price. Once you solve for the equilibrium price, you need to solve for the equilibrium quantity, right? The equilibrium quantity. This is the equilibrium quantity. So this one you can rule out because quantity can never be negative. Okay, so now that you have solved for the equilibrium price and quantity, you can sketch the graph. So it will look like this. And this will be the area that you want to solve, the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. So to find the producer surplus, just like last time, simply take the demand equation, subtract with the market price, the current price, okay, and then evaluate the antiderivative at the upper limit and the lower limit. Okay, this is the equilibrium quantity. Okay, and then to find the producer surplus, we simply take the area under the market price, subtract it with the area underneath the supply equation. Okay, so I think that's it. Let me just close everything, and so that's basically the end of this application of finding the areas under the curve for economics and business. I'm asking you to focus more on producer surplus and consumer surplus. All other examples are similar because we are still applying the same concept of finding the areas for different purposes. So with that, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.